Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Chinachem Group Sustainability Conference 2023. We're now here at the afternoon session. This conference is organized by Chinachem Group and co-organized with Hong Kong Green Building Council. Welcome again. Well, once again, it's amazing to know that there are over 3,600 registrations for our conference today. And the registrants not only come from the building and the utilities sector, many also come from the finance sector and even the education sector. Especially in this afternoon session, there are a lot of students and even general public joining us. That's really encouraging that we can spread the sustainability message far and wide. Apart from those of us attending the conference here in person, there are over 2,000 participants joining us online right now. So I would like to say a hello to them and welcome again, everyone. In addition, as mentioned also in the morning, we have received staunch support from the industry with over 100 supporting organizations that are supporting our event today. Thank you once again for your tremendous support. A reminder to all of you, SI service is available for this conference. If you do need a SI headset, you may collect one at the reception. And to access the live photo album and program rundown, please scan the QR codes on the screens on the two sides of the ballroom. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please join me and welcome the first speaker for our afternoon session, and she is Ms. Kimberly Lewis Inkumsa, Executive Vice President, Equity, Engagement and Events, International Well Building Institute. She will speak to us on the topic equity in the built environment. Please welcome Ms. Inkumsa.
I have the clicker. While we're waiting for our clicker, I just want to say good afternoon. It is an honor to be here today. I want to thank you to Chinachem Group and the Hong Kong Green Building Council for having me here today. Shout out to my IWBI peeps, wherever you are, and our broader WELL community. I am the 0.1%. I am a Black woman executive in the global green building, climate, and sustainability industries. From both of these perspectives, the green movement's major events and everyday meetings are rarely diverse, despite the fact that both were established to be epicenters of the healing of our planted and a bridging community. After nearly 20 years as a senior executive in the global green building and climate change community, I believe we are in the midst of a paradigm shift, a global cry for people-first solutions, top of all solutions. Our climate, social, economic, and political challenges are all interconnected. Centering diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility to the heart of the sustainability and global green building movement is people first, and this is why. The WELL Equity Rating is about empowering organizations to take action and drive accountability toward the diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility goals. It's a roadmap to help turn commitment to action. It taps into the power of place and seeks to give everyone a sense of belonging. Equity and diversity are not just an ideology or slogan. There's a lot of science and evidence behind the WELL Equity Rating. It translates science into a roadmap with actionable strategies. There is science to prove enhancing the sense of nature, place, and culture that can promote people's mental health. There is science behind why some neurodivergent people are sensitive to light or sound. Therefore, designing focused areas for them can bring the best out of them. Beyond design-based strategies as such, policy is another major component of the WELL equity rating. Policies such as responsible hiring and labor practice within our own organizations, and all the way along the supply chain and value chain. When I think of China, I often think of the Great Wall as one of the world's wonders for over 2,000 years. There is a rich yet complicated history and long line of heritage around it. The WELL equity rating encourages historic acknowledgement relevant to people in their built environment, so they can feel that they are seen and heard and belong. The WELL equity rating celebrates individuality. Uniqueness has power. Inclusion and equity has power. This is a part of that dynamic paradigm shift that I'm speaking of. Everyone has a voice to be heard. When we think about in the building industry, Billy in the basement, my years in the hospitality industry, really looking at sustainable performance, I remember my hotel sales folks would just grab the engineer, wondering about greenwash and were they performing according to their commitments. We have the ability to bring the people from behind the curtain to top of mind for our strategies and goals. Communication matters. I love centering this quote by Davina Lavaris Stewart. Diversity asks, who's in the room? Equity responds, who is trying to get in the room but can't? Whose presence in the room is under constant threat of erasure? Inclusion asks, has everyone's ideas been heard? And justice responds, whose ideas won't be taken as seriously because they aren't in the majority? Equity is crucial to organizational health, and the WELL equity rating speaks to business leaders who are looking to demonstrate the ROI of DEI. We made it clear, put simply, a healthier organization equals a healthier bottom line. Put your people first with a healthier, evidence-based approach to well-being for all. One of the things, as I went on the listening and learning tour to talk to global leaders around the various frameworks that really look at health equity and people-first strategies, one of the things that they said, Kimberly, let's take a step back. How do we consider empathy? How do we measure it? We need something that is really going to have empathy at the heart of its solutions. There's a direct correlation between DEI efforts and company performance. This is that metrics piece that is so key for the S in ESG. It's the key to investing your most valuable assets, your human capital, your people. Companies reporting the highest level of racial diversity brought in nearly 15 times more in sales. A disability-inclusive business strategy promotes a significant return on investment, supporting 28% higher revenue, 100% higher net income, and 30% higher profit margins. And 35% of the S&P 500 companies included DEI in their 2022 executive compensation plans. And what's so key is how you operationalize your ESG reporting. Companies can directly plug in their WELL equity rating into GRESB reports for points. The job market is still incredibly competitive. What we know is recruitment is key, but what about retention? The data backs it up. 76% of job candidates in the U.S. seek out diverse companies. Organizational culture is a top consideration for over 3/4 of job candidates. Diverse companies are 2.9 times more likely to identify and build leaders. And as we heard earlier, Gen Z values DEI. Recruitment and retention is just part of the puzzle. Performance matters too. And the research is clear. Employees in diverse and inclusive workplaces are more likely to enjoy their jobs, work harder, innovate more, and ultimately stay with their employers. Companies with diverse management reported innovation revenue 19% higher. Diverse U.S. organizations are a third more productive, and teams with higher gender diversity, whoop whoop to the women, are 21% more profitable than their less diverse counterparts. There's a direct correlation between DEI efforts and ESG performance, as was stated earlier. 38% of the Fortune 200 include diversity and inclusion metrics in their ESG reporting. The latest return on equity report by Out Leadership says adoption of LGBTQ+ inclusive ESG reporting skyrocketed among top corporations in the United States. And organizations can use well to guide their annual reporting on social sustainability. In 2018 and beyond, more than 190 organizations, including many in the Fortune 500, have incorporated well into their sustainability and ESG reporting. So as we transition, I've given you a solid foundation for the why. Now let's get into what it is, the rating. And I want to say, as I led this, I'm talking about my first 20 years, what was key and was so significant is the ability to leverage our global community, many of your leaders here that were on our advisories, to really help us to understand at a macro and a day-to-day level the most salient research to help us focus on the strategies from the WELL standard that we would embed into this rating. The rating gives organizations an actionable framework grounded in the WELL building standard for rectifying long-standing disparities to welcome and support individuals that identify as people from non-dominant cultures, first-generation immigrants, LGBTQ+, people who are physically disabled, people who are neurodivergent, or primary givers, including mothers. To identify the populations addressed in the first iteration of the rating, IWBI undertook an extensive design thinking process, including literature review and discussions with our 200+ health equity advisors and stakeholders. In addition, there is applicability for this rating system. What we heard is we should be thinking about scale, not just from a building and a portfolio perspective, but the rating needed to address remote work as well. During our design thinking process, we were committed to partnering with leading community members and organizations to establish consistent practices for the industry and a global standard for health. The development process for ratings spans months and months of research, deep technical work, rework, and conversations within our community. We relied on our advisors and our co-chairs to help us get there. I wanted you to get a sense of the journey. We thought this would take 6 months, But equity looks different in place and space, community and culture. So we couldn't scan the globe quickly. We thought it would be 6 months. It took us 2 years. From 44 individual interviews, as you can see, to organization-wide webcasts, roundtables, and conference. And I just wanted to give you a sense of the list of co-chairs, from an Olympian from Sweden to the Chief Happiness Officer from Dubai to Dr. Risa Lavizzo-Moray, who coined the term health equity. We went from region to region to make sure that we were listening and learning from our advisors. Now let's take a deeper look into the rating and what it has to offer. The Well Equity Rating targets 4 to 3 policy and design-related strategies from the Well Building Standard across the following 6 action areas. User experience and feedback, which includes strategies to understand the wants and needs of employees and diverse stakeholders. We see this as the first step in developing an authentic and customized roadmap for an organization's most impactful success of implementing the Well Equity Rating. Responsible hiring and labor practices include strategies that commit to an equitable culture and a responsible supply chain to attract the best talent and support human rights, health, and safety. Health benefits and services. These strategies provide access to health care, social services, and other benefits to maintain employee well-being and reduce turnover. Inclusive design focuses on strategies that create places that are welcoming to people of all backgrounds and physical abilities. Supportive spaces and programs promote designing environments that encourage healthy habits, including exercise, optimal nourishment, and mindfulness, and access to biophilia and nature. Community engagement. We have a responsibility to the communities that we serve. These strategies are focused on volunteer and resources to strengthen connections to the wider community. Each location must meet 21 of the 43 strategies to achieve the rating and earn the Well Equity Rating. Before we began selecting features from the Well Building Standard, we wanted to establish criteria that would guide us in this exercise. Each project must address 2 of these areas: equitable access, equitable support, and equitable retention. Here's the money slide, as I always say. Here are the strategies that go deep. As I said, we began with exploration and evaluation. And of course, there's a moment for gateways to equity, an innovation moment. As we know, frameworks are in abundance, standards are in abundance. And we don't want people to feel like they're recreating the will. Have the ability to submit what you're currently doing. And with your roadmap tool of the Well Equity Rating, we want to keep you moving. To go a little bit deeper, I wanted you to see some of the experiences. We have listed the DEI Assessment Action Plan feature first to highlight its importance to understand people's needs in an organization. We see this as a great way for people to get a baseline. Kimberly, we don't know where to begin. Survey your people. We need to understand where we begin and create that movement for moving forward. Responsible hiring and labor practices. This theme addresses everything from equitable hiring practices and employee resource groups to modern slavery. Inclusive design, we have specific design features in that are looking at wayfinding, specifically prompting, understanding how the space and place can support people who are neurodiverse, especially those that are hypo or hypersensitive. Of course, bathroom accommodations and single-user facilities helpful for the aging and primary caregivers. And of course, health benefits and services that are important all throughout the value chain, not just for your employees, but what are you doing for your suppliers and contractors? Supported programs and spaces encourage healthy habits, including exercise, optimal nutrition, and mindfulness. And of course, community engagement, as I said, it all begins in your authenticity in your walk. And as I wrap up, I want to return to where I started. People matter. Belonging occurs when people can see themselves in a significant way within your corporate culture and that they feel seen and heard. This work we have done with the broad help of our global health equity advisors is a holistic solution. Many programs and indexes to support DEI efforts focus on one or two population segments. We are grateful to have embraced 6. It's also design-focused, going beyond policies and protocols to help organizations revisit how intentional design decisions can be vehicle to help people thrive in their spaces. And lastly, the program is scalable. When I wrote my Medium article, Revival of Green, my pathway to building a diverse, equitable, and inclusive movement for the green building industry has been both incremental yet revolutionary. I have seen small and moderate changes globally for people-first solutions. Rarely do you come to a green building industry when you see many Kimberleys there, and we want to see more of that. What I have learned is that building impact to scale is needed to be disruptive and to bridge the benefits of our movements to those who have been locked out. We need bolder thinking, strategy, and action. Thoroughly look at your meeting and boardrooms, your Zoom calls, your project teams, your supply chain. The definition of a modern company organization will reflect a more diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just culture. Businesses ask these questions: who's impacted, who's left out, who can be lifted up? But businesses are now accountable to basic reporting. Human capital performance, what's happening to me, better or worse, social capital performance, how I interact with others, better or worse. Hashtag, we are well and we can do it together. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Ikamsa. Thank you for inspiring us. Very important message there. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those are very, very important for us to think about what we can do within our industry and also in our built environment. Thank you so much once again. Coming up next, we will have architect Donald Choi, JP, Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of Chinachem Group, to come on stage, and he'll share his experience on harnessing the power of partnership, tenants, customers, and stakeholders. Please welcome architect Choi.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good afternoon. And I hope you have enjoyable lunch, and we connect with your old friends as well as making new friends. All of us are here today because we share a common purpose: sustainability. How we can all contribute to improve people's quality of life. And as our shared goal, it can only be achieved when we all come together to be a collective force for change. This is what this conference is about. And when I look at today sharing the topic, harnessing the power of partnership, I realized how the word partnership seems an overused, overplayed, and yet an underutilized, under-delivered concept. Most of us can rattle examples of partnerships that have redefined the business landscape. Procter & Gamble, Jardine Matheson, and so on. I would like to bring you to a new concept of involving, partnership within the private-public sector. And we have what we have here gathered, the world healthier and more equitable venture, the Vaccine Alliance. A global public-private partnership among the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the World Bank, World Health Organization, and UNICEF. Galvin accelerates access to life-saving vaccines in the countries that need them most. To address complex challenges, such as sustainability, to effect transformative change, it's essential to shake up old notions of partnership. To imagine them, we must collaborate in fresh ways to ensure the power and potential of partnership is fully realized. In other words, we must think creatively about how we can work together for greater impact and mutual benefit. I'm an optimist, and an orchestra to me is one of the best metaphors for collaboration. Musicians with different instruments and skill sets coming together in a harmonious ensemble. As an architect, I propose that partnership should be diverse but harmonious, be singular in ambition but have an enduring legacy and a commitment to continuity. They should embrace different forms, private-public, interdisciplinary, co-creating with community and customers, and more. The shared value ecosystem model, for example, sees companies teaming up with government, NGOs, commercial partners, and peers, and the public. Moreover, partnerships must not be static, but flexible. They should evolve and adapt to meet changing tools and goals. Last but not least, there is a secret ingredient that makes a partnership truly successful: heart. I believe authenticity sustains and fulfills collaborations. Trust with your hearts. If we can put our hearts together, we should be able to become the catalyst for positive, sustainable change in our community. At Chinachem Group, it is part of our DNA to protect and nurture the world around us for generations to come. Our sustainability vision is to create wealth and long-standing value to benefit the whole community. We call ourselves a company with heart because we love the work that we do. We are creating places with heart. We help shape places through people-centric property and hospitality, transforming people's lives. We create spaces for people to thrive in, creating sustainable value for people, society, and future generations. We make places that satisfy human needs, physical, emotional, and social needs. Places that make us a healthier, happier, and richer. It is a labor of love, I always tell my colleagues, the fruit of which we ultimately return to the people our community. This social purpose is what really matters to us at Chinachem, our people, our customer, and the communities to which we belong. It is about building a better we, a better community, a better Hong Kong, a better world. This is the spark that ignites an ambitious program of ours. It's called CCG Hearts, which I want to share with you this afternoon. I want to talk about this program today because it is the perfect encapsulation of our collaboration strategy. CCG Hearts harnesses the power of partnership to build a robust and mutually beneficial ecosystem. It brings all our stakeholders together in a way that has not been seen before. First, we need to learn what values we all have in common with our stakeholders. What do sustainability and community good mean for them? What are the drivers and barriers to adoption? What are the pain points as well as passion points? We conducted research on our different stakeholders, encompassing our customers and employees, existing residents, community neighbors, business tenants, and the public at large. Through extensive interviews, we managed to identify their collective ambition. The findings show that Hong Kong people certainly have a heart. They genuinely care about the planet, future generations, and our community. More than ever, they are volunteering their time and income to do good for others. Yet barriers remain. People are willing to pay and act, but they seem not to have enough options or opportunities. There is a wide intention-action gap. For example, 75% of customers would pay a price premium for greater safety or economic use, but 50% regularly make the purchase otherwise, held back by the lack of information, products, and affordability. The same applies to companies. While 82% have waste reduction policy, only 24% have targets in their KPIs. Moreover, while there is a strong common understanding and passion for sustainability, maintaining the motivation to act is challenging. As to the reasons why, it's their hectic lifestyles, skepticism around the impact made, and the lack of peer support. Here lay a unique chance for Chinachem Group to jump in, to establish a platform to help. We can help Hong Kong citizens convert their desires to action by providing support and action opportunities that align with their current lifestyles. Living our values means integrating them into our daily lives. It should be an earnest endeavor led by the heart. Now that we had a good understanding of our stakeholders' values, we could harness their passion and the power of their partnership to fuel the way forward. And thus, CCG Hearts began to beat. While still in the early stages of its development, it has a very clear and singular ambition to be a community-minded program that nurtures actions and forms behavior habits to bridge the disparity between intention and action by actively empowering and inspiring people to enrich their lives and surrounding together. It does this on two levels. By helping individuals nurture their own individual passion for sustainability to realize a better me, then by putting our efforts together to amplify our impact, collectively manifesting a better we. Think of it as democratizing sustainability, making it accessible to all by equipping people with practical options to participate in what is good for them, for society, and for the planet. With everyone ready to put their hearts into action, it was a key priority to engage all segments in the program experience to drive value, loyalty, and emotional investment. We have built on our ready-made existing customer base to create a dynamic platform that not only incentivizes the co-creation of shared value, but also serves as a platform to like-minded customers to connect, interact, and get involved in projects for the public good. For better collaboration and effortless participation, we have streamlined cross-category offerings, consolidating silos and simplifying administration. We continue to explore immediate and meaningful benefits and privileges to maximize member acquisition, ensuring the widest ripple effect for a real wave of change across the community. At the same time, we acknowledge that people understand good deeds are not quantifiable in monetary or commercial terms, and that they also value intangible incentives such as recognition, a sense of belonging, connection, and fulfillment. Through CCG Hearts, we want to deliver a different kind of membership program, one that rewards in so many ways that just points and shopping perks cannot actually substitute. When we engage with CCG Hearts, you engage with the community, and the more you engage, the happier you become. Doing good, giving back, whether through philanthropic acts or other meaningful endeavors, brings happiness to those who benefit, but also fills our heart with the joy of knowing that we make a difference. I like to think of it as a different kind of loyalty, a loyalty to our hearts, to our values, to our purpose, to our community, to our future, and to each other, to a better we. By presenting this unique form of reward, as well as by creating a sustainable momentum of community co-creation and individual giving back, we set CCG Hearts apart. This is the cornerstone of our program. Without getting into too much detail, I would like to highlight a key element of the program that will give you an idea of CCG Hearts in action: quests. Our corporate quest could be a pledge to reduce electricity consumption by 5%. A simple do-good quest could be volunteering to deliver food to seniors. These quests advance sustainable development adoption in the community by translating the focus areas into concrete citizen actions. It is important to note that these focus areas are in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, that CCG has prioritized in his sustainable and sustainability vision. Some examples of which are health and well-being, climate action, sustainable cities and communities. As a result, this quest will inspire individuals to participate in the conversation and act on the aligned SDGs in their everyday lives. Guided by the Good Life Goals, our collaboration between UN entities and partners that aims at accelerating the 2030 agenda. The idea behind CCG Hearts is to collaborate with government agencies and NGOs on specific quests, with the goal of extending the reach of these initiatives and driving meaningful action from all segments of the community to make a greater impact than ever before. For example, recruiting members of CCG Hearts as volunteers for events, engaging them in efforts to advance a charity's mission, or providing them with the opportunity to directly support the beneficiaries of a social program. we draw our inspiration from the partners we have worked with before, whose admirable charitable endeavors could achieve an exponential greater impact if more people and organizations had the opportunity to participate and lend their hands to bring them to life. Our recent work with Habitat for Humanity, for example, saw the improvement of the safety and hygiene for 25 homes of elderly residents who rely on government subsidies as their main source of income. This includes installation of grab bars and other safety features and other modifications in their home based on individual needs. We also arrange for domestic workers to help with deep cleaning and decluttering of the homes to improve quality of life and reduce health and safety risks, helping this working women supplement their income on the way. Another project we have worked on in partnership with the Hong Kong Federation of Youth Groups aimed at promoting all-round wellness among Hong Kong youth, helping them balance physical, emotional, social, occupational, digital, and environmental wellness. We administered a variety of volunteer opportunities and workshops, including cross-generational mentorship and food preparation for the less privileged, to help youth develop a commitment to service while addressing real community needs. We have also joined hands with Senior Citizen Home Safety Association on a program to foster cross-generationally inclusive communities in Tsuen Wan and Kwai Tsing, to forge ties between the youth and the elderly through home visits, phone check-ins, and more. This 3-year program creates opportunities for intergenerational connection while enabling youth participants to explore their life goals and self-worth, as well as to cherish their families, friends, and the elderly. I cite these examples because they encompass wonderful multidisciplinary collaborations between NGOs, social workers, local domestic workers, youth, business, and so on, to yield a benefit and make important strides towards social inclusion and sustainable community development. Since we would work effectively together on major projects as individuals and as organizations spanning various sectors and disciplines, it stands to reason that we can expand our horizon and embrace collaboration on an even larger circle in a more inclusive and dynamic way as well. We could work not just for the good of the community, but empower our community to co-create a brighter and healthier future with us. After all, only together can we build a better we. So we structure our quests so they aren't just individual undertakings. They leverage and celebrate the bonds we share with others to bring about real measurable change. This means fostering connection among our customers, members of our community, our business and residential owners, and our tenants. Members join as individuals, but can, through CGG Hearts, connect with friends, employers, recreational clubs, and charities to pursue common goals that improve the wider community. The system itself is simple. There are points you can earn for rewards as well as membership and reward tiers. Members earn points in 3 ways: making transactions at CGG properties, taking action to support CGG community initiatives, and joining quests to benefit Hong Kong. At the end of the day, our bonds, our connections with others mirror the essence of what we stand for as a community. The quest, the mission we embark on are tangible expressions of this collective purpose. Many responsible commercial organizations in Hong Kong most certainly have their own sustainability programs. However, to truly bring about sustainable change, we cannot do it alone. Collaboration and collective action are imperative to achieve any kind of meaningful impact. Chinachem Group firmly believes in the power of partnership. By adopting unique collaborative models, whether between businesses or encompassing our community, we can unlock synergies and create a win-win-win for our 3 Ps: people, prosperity, and planet, the triple bottom line we uphold. This is the philosophy behind our partnership ecosystem. As part of CGG Hearts, there are 2 main types of partners: global and local partners who supply rewards benefits for member actions, and partners who track and support quests. Partners who join us can expect to see increased footfall and average spending while fulfilling their own sustainability ambitions. They also benefit from new ways of engaging their customers and employees and the public. New revenue stream will be created, and expanded recruitment through this world-first loyalty program is the future of business. The ultimate goal, however, is to support our tenants and the community to grow with us together. CGG Hearts also embodies a partnership for sustainability with our customers and community. It builds a more intimate relationship by creating one-to-one engagement with every member, translating our corporate ambitions and values into on-the-ground actions that bring Chinachem into their everyday life in the community. And in conclusion, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. With all our stakeholders on the same page, we can start to magnify the positive impact of our sustainability initiatives. Through partnership, businesses can achieve shared objectives more efficiently, and the bond between business and community can become powerful forces for positive change. There are a lot of moving parts in CGG Hearts which work together to achieve its ambitious sustainability goals. They say when individuals with similar passions, goals, and values come together, magic happens. I believe this. CGG Hearts serves as a unifying force, fostering a web of connection with the community, business with business, business with customer, community with charity, families and friends. They all come together. This ever-evolving living landmark generates a triple effect that we hoped will endure for generations. It's simple math, according to the philosopher Aristotle, but our case calls for a slight modification. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. 1 plus 1 more than 2. If our actions are meaningful expression of our core identity, then they will do much more than contribute to sustainability. By coming together and harnessing the power of partnership, we can forge a resilient future built on community, secure by sustainable lifestyles, and enriched by responsible businesses. The moment has come for us to forge a fresh alliance for innovative solutions. Sustainability is a challenge that demands collaboration on multiple fronts. This is the perfect opportunity to embark on partnerships of endless possibility and potential. Let's together become a better we. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Architect Choi. From a better me to a better we. Thank you so much. And we truly appreciate the commitment from Chinachem Groups to the community and how you make good use of partnership to really create places with heart. Thank you. Our next speaker will enlighten us with the topic retro-commissioning and retrofitting for energy efficiency and carbon reduction of existing buildings, latest trend and green technologies. 以下的嘉宾他的讲题是通过再调试与节能改造，降低既有建筑物能耗与碳排放最新技术与发展趋势。掌声欢迎清华大学建筑节能研究中心副主任魏庆鹏博士。Please welcome Dr. Wei Qingpeng, Deputy Director, Building Energy Research Center from Tsinghua University. 有请。
Thank you, MC. And it's my great pleasure to be Hong Kong again and to join this great conference organized by Chinachem Group and co-organized by HKGBC. I have been to Hong Kong for, I think, more than 100 times, and I saw the city become more active and amazing. So I think green building and also as well as well building will contribute to sustainable and net zero community and cities in the future. So I will share some of idea and some of new trends and development in retro-commissioning and retrofitting for existing building, because in the city like Hong Kong or Great Bay Area or Beijing, Shanghai, the metro cities, existing buildings take the 90% of the responsibility for carbon emission reduction in the future. So the topic I show here, and it's more technical, but I try to make it more attractive to everyone in this room. Thank you. So I'll start with demo building. Some 15 years ago, was founded in the campus of Tsinghua University. It's a China-Italian cooperation project to try to demonstrate the new and advanced technology related to energy efficiency and carbon emission reduction in buildings. So they try to install the, photovoltaic 15 years ago, and also have a cogeneration system to use natural gas to produce heat, cooling, and electricity. And so you understand it's very expensive, but it's supposed to be very active. And also a lot of high performance of a windows facade with passive design, with cooling ceiling, displacement ventilation, and try to achieve some kind of a 55% of energy use intensity reduction as well as carbon emission reduction. So after the building was occupied, the professors and the students try to measure the actual electricity use in that building and compare to that in the other buildings in the campus. Here I grouped, I catalog the buildings in the campus into 3 different catalogs. So one is the building, they're all office buildings, but one part of them are equipped with ceiling fans for cooling. And the others equipped with supply unit. So people can turn on, turn off, related, depends on people inside or people just off of work. And also there's some new venues in the campus. They have centralized air conditioning, are supposed to have very high efficiency systems and equipment. However, talk about the energy use intensity in terms of kilowatt hour per square meter per year. That's very different performance. And the demo building, here I show 89.1 kilowatt hour per square meter per year. So it's fair, not the highest and not the lowest. And if we try to think the target, we set it, and can we say we fulfill our, the original idea to design this demo building? So after the building was occupied, and there are a lot of discussion about this building, whether this kind of building to install old kind of new technology can be the future for net zero in China or in the world. So also, as you know, China tried to reduce the pollution as well as the energy consumption for heating, because it's getting cold and a lot of space heating in north part of China. And people try to use heat pump to replace both coal-burned boilers or natural gas-burned boilers. And this kind of heat pump always is supposed to be the most environmental friendly technology, and they got subsidies. But after all kind of heat pump, the air source, the seawater source, geothermal coupled heat pumps, all kind of heat pumps. After the heat pump system be operate it, we try to measure the actual electricity be consumed by compressor, by pumps, as well as the other equipment, and try to use these kind of indicators. That means 1 kilowatt hour of electricity can, 1 kilowatt hour of heating, how much of electricity be consumed, the higher the worse. So we could have the better one, the best one, L system. So and compared to the worst one, you can see the huge difference. So it's not the problem or the duty of the technology, but we have to use them properly and try to have real energy reduction as well as carbon emission reduction. So that's the target. And we believe we should not only to put something, but try to use them properly every day. So that's our goal for retro-commissioning and as well as for retrofitting. So the big trend changed from then on. That before, if we talk about the building, we check, we have a checklist, what kind of technology, what kind of a new technology you adopted. And now people want to see data during operation. The data during operation for the whole system, for the electricity, for the heating, for cooling, as well as for domestic hot water, fresh air intake, and steam, whatever. But people focus on data. So I think that's a big trend. Not only in China, but also in Europe, in the United States. People nowadays more talk about data, what happens in real world, not only as what they said. So after that, the international expertise and professors decided to working together, also working together with our Hong Kong expertise to have this IEA EBC, and for buildings and community. In this organization, we try to establish some kind of model, try to explain what happens behind the data. And try to understand that not only the weather or the microclimate, they can affect on the inner performance of buildings, and also, of course, the envelope, the system and equipment performance. So the left three factors can affect on building performance, inner performance, obviously. But also, we mentioned that the operation and maintenance, the occupant behaviors, and also indoor environmental conditions also impact the operational energy consumption as well as the carbon emission. So that's why we do need a lot of efforts to enhance retro-commissioning as well as retrofitting. So after that, we try to measure data. For instance, we install meters in the United States, in the buildings in the United States, and transfer through internet without any firewall. And we try to understand what happens there. Here shows a real time in 1 week, peak summer day, and in terms of per square meter, how much of cooling be consumed in office building in Philadelphia or in Beijing. They have quite similar climate. But compared to energy use intensity, that means watt per square meter. So it's supposed to be the same, but actually you could see there are some kind of 6 times difference. And the lower one, the bottom of this figure, shows the office and also there are 1 hotels, the cooling consumption, and the other 2 on the top is we measured the real-time cooling consumption in US, and then we wonder what happens. So go through this kind of data, and we try to understand what happens, and we do detailed analysis, and we found that in the air handling unit, there's some kind of a heating and cooling trade-off, because they have a cooling coil in advance to cool down and dehumidify the air, and then reheat at the VV box. So I told them that in Asia Pacific, like in China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan, most part of this region, reheat in civil buildings, that means not for industrial purpose. Reheat or this kind of heating and cooling trade-off is prohibited. And we try to maintain the indoor environment, including not only temperature but also humidity, but try to use another way. Try to use some kind of way without this kind of trade-off. So we not only this concept, but also we check there are a lot of faults for sensors, for valves, dampers, actuators, whatever. And people think of that, just like, open wine, that, okay, in daily operation of our building, we're supposed to have the best technology, the best products in our building, but actually the performance of the operational data are not as beautiful as what we desire. So that's the idea. So after that, we think it's not enough, so we do more and more investigation. For instance, here shows 8 office buildings in Beijing, Shanghai, and United States and France. We try to understand what happens. And they speak a different kind of language, but the data says the same language. Yeah, the same language. So we measure the actual electricity use intensity per square meter per year, and we found that they are 10 times difference. 10 times. And if we just look at the outside of the building, we cannot have this kind of judgment. So that means we should not only blind our eyes with the outlooking, but we do need to go detail. So we install a lot of things, some kind of 15 years ago, think of that, and it's still working now. And they have meters, they transfer and to use some kind of data mapping and try to normalize the energy use model. So think of that if one day in Hong Kong, all the buildings, now, just blind some confidential information. We try to compare them and we try to benchmarking them every day. So think of that. It's fantastic. So we measure data, and I'm sorry, there's some mistake, but we try to understand what happens. So we measure the electricity used for lighting and appliance, and also for chillers, pumps, fans, and also we measure the actual cooling and heating, for space cooling and space heating, in terms of a gigajoule per square meter. So we have envelope, we have insulation, we have a high performance facade, but actually how much of heating or cooling be consumed in the buildings? So that's what we learn from this kind of work, and after that, we go even detail. So not only we can compare in terms of per square meter, but we found also different why. Then we go detail to see what happens for the chillers. So there's some professors and some expertise propose to measure each of the operated chillers size over some kind of 150 tons or some kind of big chillers. We should measure them. We should understand what's the actual performance through data, through measured data. So not only to say what kind of brand you have. So we do this kind of things, and also we measure pumps, because the pump consume a lot, and people will say, okay, it's just in the machine room, so forget it. But actually, they will consume a lot. Here's this chart shows there are some Chinese, I'm sorry, but in one building, a very tall building, they have ice storage systems, so they have glycol pumps, they have primary pump, secondary pump, they have heat exchanger, they have everything. And the pump consumes some kind of millions of electricity per year, and the saving potential is also millions. So think of that, and think of Hong Kong, Macau, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, even Taipei, even the big cities that always have this kind of things, and we don't know. We don't know. So we just go detail and understand what happens. Also for fans, I will just skip it. But we do think of that. We need to understand the detail. So we finally got this chart. So in the beginning, we have overall energy use data. Then we understand what happens and the energy consumed by end users. Then understand the heating or cooling for space heating and space cooling and heating, also for domestic or hot water if you want. And then we go very detailed analysis to try to understand the imperfection of the system. So try to save energy. We should not only see something beautiful, but try to see something imperfect. Then we can find out the best way, or the cheapest, or the most intelligent way to solve the problem. So this we say climb the hill. Oh, it's a Chinese English, I would like to say. It's hiking. It's not like hiking. It's try to understand what happens, then try to get the easiest way to solve the problem, to save energy, and to show to the building owner, to the tenant, yes, we can save energy, we can reduce carbon emission, then people will trust you, will believe in you. And they will support to have some kind of a system tailoring. That means just get rid of some extra things and make your system simple and easy to be operated. And then to have some kind of optimization of control. That means they can maintain the system performance as what you desire. After that, finally we can go to retrofitting. So after retrocommissioning is something we do not need to have some kind of lot of investment to replace some hardware. But retrofitting, you do need to change the pumps or to change the chillers, whatever. So we always believe that's the last solution, but it's not. It's not last, because if you have the replacement of your equipment, you will not stop there. You do need to think back. So it's like a mountain and have a tunnel. We like tunnel because they make have a convenient way for transport. But in the industry or in the engineering area, we go this way and we should not stop and come back. Think of that. How about the actual energy use intensity after retrofitting? So retrocommissioning and retrofitting is something like brothers. You have a retrocommissioning first and try to make system working or perform as better as you want, and then you got savings, and then to use the money to have some new and more efficiency equipment, and then do not stop there. Keep monitoring and keep thinking and keep modeling. Try to understand what happens, and then give some suggestions for new and brand new project. So that's what the way we propose. And also I show an example in the 5 minutes. So it's an office building combined with a shopping mall. It's a complex in Beijing and also developed by a Hong Kong developer and working together with mainland China one. And they supposed to have a lot of rating, green buildings and LEED and whatever. But after the building was occupied in the year of 2012, the first winter, the natural gas, they have gas boilers, and the natural gas consumption for space heating is some kind of 1.5 million cubic meter. 1.5 million cubic meter. And also, they feel very, very cold at the B1 because a lot of cold air infiltration. And they say, okay, we perfectly can you solve the problem? And save energy is not the most tough, or we try to have a better indoor environment. Okay, we can solve the problem and we can save money for you at the same time. Then after a lot of works, the second winter, the natural gas consumption reduced below to 1 million, so some kind of 0.9 million. So get some kind of 40% of reduction. It's actual data. It's not simulation. It's not prediction. And what happens? And then we go detail. And after 5 years, finally, for the whole winter, with some kind of 125 days of space heating, the natural gas consumption reduced from 1.5 to 0.64. So gets a 60% reduction. No one believes that. It's a very good building. It have a lot of ratings, but actually after retrocommissioning and retrofitting, we make it. And what kind of things we do? And we use infrared cameras to check each of the auto air intaking or exhaust air and try to seal any, we try to make the building actually tight. And we also, now, for the temperature supply, water temperature to adjust according to the weather and to the building operation. So it's not very, very difficult. And after that, we told them we have the data for the office, for the mall, for the overall of complex, and compared to national data or even compared to EU standard in terms of similar climate. This building performance very, very good. So we believe we can make it after retrocommissioning and retrofitting. And what happens now? After that, people say, can we have a net zero heating for this building? okay, it's ambitious, but we try to do this. So after a lot of research, we found that we could adopt some kind of a new type of geothermal heat pump. We drill to some kind of 2,000 meters and to use this kind of heat exchanger and to get heat, no water, but get heat and use a very high efficiency of a heat pump to supply to this building. And also from this project, we also develop some new model and a new type of system, try to use waste heat and also geothermal as well as air source, try to use the heat pump with flexibility. That means we work together with the grid and try to absorb windmill generated electricity in winter because there are a lot of electricity abundant from this kind of windmill. So working together with them, and we can really achieve this kind of so-called net zero heating. And then the target is, can we have net zero cooling and net zero electricity for buildings and cities? So the target changed, and we believe that we could have photovoltaic installed, not in the northwest of China, like Xinjiang or Qinghai, and transfer after some kind of 3,000 kilometers and to the center of the energy use, electricity use. But try to install photovoltaic in the buildings and try to use them directly. And also try to use some kind of thermal energy storage, as well as try to use electricity vehicle as a gateway for electricity storage. And after that, we can also have DC, replace some part of AC and try to make it work. And no one believes it can be done. And during the 3 years of pandemic, we work very, very hard and very quiet, and we make it. So this summer, this building, after retrofitting, it's an office building. After retrocommissioning and retrofitting, we install photovoltaic. We install new type of cooling storage at the basement, and we use a high efficiency oil-free chiller with VSD for the pumps, compressors, fans, everything. Use DC, directly connect with the photovoltaic, and make it a really, we can achieve some days or 1 week of net zero. But it's a small step, but we believe after that we can summarize and we could have a retrocommissioning for operation, and after that we could have a retrofitting, then think back for installation, for test and commissioning, and also to have this kind of a life cycle commissioning. And also not only based on data, and we can produce more knowledge, and then finally rethinking and to use AI to have real-time life cycle commissioning, and not only for system, but also for renewable energy on-site usage. So that's the last page of my slide, and we've been working together with our Hong Kong colleagues for 10, 15 years. And after that, we worked together with EMSD, Hong Kong GBC, and now with Chinachem, and we try to make our city of Hong Kong beautiful and net zero in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wei. 非常感谢您的分享，请回座。Thank you for explaining to us some latest green technologies and trends on retrocommissioning and retrofitting. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll now take a 15 minutes break before we have 2 more speakers and our panel. So do come back before 3:45. Don't forget to visit our booths outside the ballroom. We have 5 booths showcasing the latest trends in sustainability, including the Nina Park, which is going to open by the end of this year, the CCG Hearts and Unconventional Membership Rewards Program, driving positive impact for people, prosperity, and planet. And we have 3 more companies committed to spearheading sustainability, innovation, and advocacy, including Blue Sky Energy Technology, Fashion Clinic, and Formwork.io. For CCG members, do remember to scan the QR code at each booth to redeem extra CCG Hearts points. To access the live photo album of this conference, do scan the QR codes on the screens on the 2 sides of the ballroom. We'll see you back in here at 3:45. Thank you. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. We are resuming the conference, and very, very shortly, we're going to invite the next speaker to join us here on stage. So for those of you who already arrived at the ballroom, please take your seats and be ready. 咁我哋呢一個環節嘅會議呢，即刻就要繼續展開啦。咁邀請我哋喺會議廳門外嘅賓客們呢，盡快返回我哋會議廳就座，因為呢，我哋即刻呢就要邀請下一位嘅講者嚟到台上為我哋分享㗎啦。Thank you very much, everyone. Once again, please take your seats as we are going to move on with the next presentation. I hope you've had a chance to stretch your legs just now and got to visit our booths outside during the short break. All right, thank you so much, everyone. Well, our next speaker will be actually sharing his insights on the topic Uniting Communities, U-City, creating a sustainable, inclusive, and thriving community. We're going to learn more from this speaker later on, but before I invite him on stage, he has prepared a video for us. Let's take a look. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Mr. Lee Sowald, Executive Director, Corporate Services of Uniting Communities Incorporated. Mr. Sowald, please.
Well, you've just seen a short video showcasing Uniting Communities' latest innovation. That was a multi-award-winning U-City. Thank you to the Chinachem Group and the Hong Kong Green Building Council for hosting this event and inviting me, for the first time in Hong Kong for me, to be with you and speak with you all here. Today I'm going to share with you just how Uniting Communities created this sustainable, inclusive and thriving community. Munanai Wankanthi Namani Nai Nari Lee. Firstly, g'day everyone, my name is Lee. That was my clumsy attempt at speaking some Kaurna language from the local Aboriginal people from where I live. I'm going to work on that and get better. We do acknowledge that U-City is built on the traditional lands of the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. So in developing U-City, we were committed to creating a vibrant, integrated community that brings together residential, social, commercial and community services to establish a sustainable, inclusive and thriving community in the heart of the city. The design vision was to create a connected community where people of all ages and abilities can flourish together. 4 years on, And we're very excited to see this vision for our innovative vertical village now coming to life. So U-City is a radically mixed-use development as described by its architects, as well as being one of the most accessible buildings in our city. It's a truly unique, diverse and inclusive vertical village. It's home to commercial and retail spaces, which on the ground floor includes a delicatessen, a restaurant, an op shop and a cafe. We also have a legal firm who's a core tenant. Uniting Communities have their extensive social services hub operating from here, which includes our Lifeline Adelaide service, which is telephone counselling, as well as our corporate offices. We also have a highly activated multi-purpose function centre, an accessible hotel for people living with a disability in the middle of the building there, and also people renting with us long-term with specialist disability accommodation apartments. And to finish it off, we've got a retirement village on top. But importantly, U-City is also recognised as one of South Australia's greenest buildings. U-City was designed and built as a world-class 6-star Green Star building via the Green Building Council of Australia. And it's now also the first whole building in South Australia to achieve carbon neutral building certification under the Australian Government's Climate Active program. So some of the key design features which contributed to this rating include natural cross ventilation throughout all living spaces. So when the weather's a nice day, we open up the doors and turn the air conditioning off. We have double and triple glazing in some parts. We have shading features on the facade, which helps reduce its heat load, as well as water-efficient fixtures and fittings throughout. So U-City's been designed to use 45% less energy and 30% less water than a comparable new build by using energy-efficient components into all aspects of the design and construction. Our overall goal is about working towards creating more sustainable buildings and communities across South Australia, and we hope U-City is a great example for others to follow. And this is important as our populations continue to migrate to our cities, which are our major carbon emitters. And while we've been operating hybrid petrol-electric vehicles for the past decade, we've now also commenced a trial of some full electric vehicles with zero tailpipe emissions into our fleet at U-City. We've got both federal and state governments in Australia supporting and incentivising the rollout of EV charging infrastructure across the country. And our trial that we're running exposes our staff to different EV models and provides valuable insights and learnings from their experiences, as well as the vital data that we're collecting from both the chargers and the vehicles themselves. And our electric vehicles are also charged from the 55 kilowatt solar panel system at U-City. This is as much panels as we could get on top of the building. I did actually take this photo on a clear day. It wasn't too windy. I got away with that. But as you can see, we've maximised that roof space and we're using the solar PV array as part of our electricity embedded network to all of our tenants. As we move away from fossil fuels to renewable energy, the transition to full electrification in the built environment is important. So we invest in our own direct renewable energy to reduce our carbon emissions. So we now have solar on all of the sites that we own. And the money we save by using solar generated electricity helps to fund the purchase of our carbon offsets. And this just gives you a bit of a snapshot of what's happening on the other side of the world in Australia. It's important that we all transition away from fossil fuels and meet our renewable energy targets. And so you can see here, South Australia, we're down the bottom in the middle there, we're doing okay. We've got about 3/4 of our energy coming from renewable sources. And the great thing is, as that grid becomes greener, the buildings and the EVs progressively become greener as renewables in the grid continue to rise across the country. And many of our states have these renewable energy targets, but Uniting Communities aren't quite happy to wait for that, so we're investigating our own power purchase agreements to see if we can directly purchase all of our electricity from 100% renewable sources sooner rather than later. UCity's been fortunate enough to win many awards. I'm just highlighting a few here. We picked up the Property Council's Best Mixed-Use Development in 2020 for South Australia, and also in 2021 for all of the country. We've even been awarded an International Good Design Award for social impact, and that's the highest honour for design and innovation in Australia. So UCity's really helping to break down barriers, offering better wellbeing for residents, tenants and clients. UCity's appeared in many publications, media articles and journals as an exemplar case study. And we've hosted hundreds of people on tours, and you're all welcome if you're ever in Adelaide. And we've presented at numerous conferences like this one. We even have an award-winning artist in residence at UCity. This is Claire. Claire interacts and works with people all across the building, representing 14 different groups and services. So whether it's retirees from our retirement village, clients from our community services, or partners in our law firm who join Claire on a Friday morning for a bit of basket weaving, they're all enjoying the work that they're doing. Through art, people are finding a connection, friendship and even new purpose in their life. And they've even had sustainability-based art installations as well. And here's some of our residents from UCity's Vertical Retirement Village, some of which do art with Claire. The residents actively participate in many events held across the building, and this is just one example of them connecting. And some residents have even purposely chosen to live at UCity because of its environmental credentials. And we've got 2 of our 3 major universities in South Australia undertaking a social value in design of extreme mixed-use urban developments projects. So we're watching that outcomes of that with interest. But it hasn't been all smooth sailing. We've had our challenges, the typical building delays from severe weather, and we had quite a few heat-related days that got in the way there. We had international building cladding fires were starting to happen, and so we still had time to remove the little bit of 5% polyethylene that we had designed in the building. So there's 0 in there. There was also retirement living contracts and negative press around how some of those were constructed. And of course, COVID-19, which actually broke on the day we celebrated the official opening of UCity. But today, UCity is the new home of Uniting Communities in Adelaide. It provides social services in the heart of the city. We're a significant profit-for-purpose community service organisation, and we've been serving the community for over 120 years. We provide 90 different services across disability, youth services, aged care, homelessness intervention, family counselling and mental health crisis support. And all this is delivered by our 1,500 staff and volunteers from 65 sites across the state, and we travel more than 3 million kilometres every year, and we reach about 80,000 people. But quite often we're asked why. Why would a community service organisation be interested in reducing, offsetting and eventually eliminating its carbon emissions? So since 2010, our board had a commitment to reduce its emissions and become carbon neutral, which it did in 2015 by setting this carbon commitment policy. We acknowledge the impacts of climate change and believe that taking collective action to reduce our carbon emissions is in the best interests of clients, staff, volunteers and the wider community. We have a carbon committee who actively focus on reducing our carbon emissions as one of our core commitments. And the carbon programs also acted as an attractor and retainer of staff in a tight labour market. So many staff look favourably on this as what we've achieved and want to be a part of it. Quite often, those most affected by climate change are not in a privileged position to do much about it. And that's why we've chosen to take this lead. Accordingly, we advocate for those most vulnerable in our communities. We all have a significant part to play: governments, businesses, organisations, suppliers, partners, communities and individuals. Uniting Communities was the first South Australian organisation and first charity in Australia to be certified carbon neutral by its federal government. But that's not enough. We now have set our latest target.
I feel enormously proud because this is an organisation and it's people that have taken leadership. 11 years ago, we set out on this mission to become a carbon neutral organisation, and it was a pretty big call for the organisation at the time because very few organisations had publicly stated that ambition to actually reduce their emissions and then actually test themselves and get accredited to become a carbon neutral organisation. And there were two drivers for it at the time. We had a board that actually appreciated the importance of the organisation being a leader in this space. And we had staff who were saying, you know, we're dealing with people each and every day who are, at one level, the victims of climate change. And as an organisation that had spent a long time, 120 years of going and supporting people who are vulnerable and experiencing disadvantage in the community, we knew that climate change wasn't some esoteric idea. It was something that was actually very real and had a very significant impact on the people that we had an obligation to try and support. United Communities' approach to dealing with this has been to actually establish committees where staff are able to engage with their colleagues, and we've done that across the organisation. You know, we have 90-odd sites across South Australia, and we've set up committee structures that actually enable people to work with their colleagues to identify opportunities in their own workplaces, as well as across the organisation as a whole, to take action to reduce our carbon emissions.
Being part of the Beyond Carbon Neutral committee and being one of the reps has given me greater insight into the impact that we leave as individuals, but what a company can really, or organisation can do on a grander scale.
You know, first and foremost, we had to examine the things that actually were contributing to our carbon emissions. And so, you know, there were things like our waste. We looked at our electricity, which is a big driver of our emissions, and putting in LED lights in a lot of the buildings that we owned or rented. We looked at our vehicles. I mean, we had a fleet of over 100 vehicles, and we thought that one of the most practical things we could do was to make a shift as those vehicles came to the end of their life to actually move to hybrid vehicles.
United Communities definitely supports us to think outside the box. So I'm really passionate about the green initiatives that we have here at Ruby's, and seeing young people adopt them easily and it become a habit to them, just a part of their everyday routine. It makes me really proud to work alongside them, and then I know that they go home and do these things.
When I see any lights on during the day, I'm always around, always turning it off. And now in the last 3-4 years, I'm collecting bottles, cans, plastic bottles, all sorts of things.
So our message to other companies, whether they be social service organisations or whether they be other businesses, is that you can do this and you do it for the right reasons because you're actually saving this planet, but you're also doing it because it actually provides dividends back to you as an organisation. And when you realise that, it actually becomes a bit of a no-brainer. Why wouldn't we go down this path?
If I do my part, and my grandchildren or my children do their part, so we all together try to make a better living for our grandchildren and grandchildren again. And if we're all doing it together, make a big difference.
Over the last 6 years, we've been testing ourselves to drive down our emissions even further. We've actually reduced our emissions by 30%. Now that's a pretty significant reduction. And now we're announcing that by 2035 we'll be a net zero organisation. That is a hell of a journey over that period of time and shows our commitment to saving this planet.
With that, let's give a big round of applause again to Mr. Sawald for sharing with us what Uniting Communities has been doing and the incredible youth city, a real example of a sustainable and inclusive community. That's really incredible. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is going to speak to us on the topic, Role of Facilities Management in Fostering an Aged-Friendly Living Environment in an Aging Society. And he is Dr. Edward Leung Phuc, President of the Hong Kong Association of Gerontology. Please welcome Dr. Leung.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be speaking on this conference, sustainability conference. So suppose I'm the only healthcare or age professional to talk in this distinguished audience, and probably coming from different background. So talking about sustainability, aging is certainly an impact. Well, for a mature society like Hong Kong, we witness aging of facilities, like drainage system, aging of the buildings, and then, of course, most important, aging of the population. So, of course, you have been listening about aging tsunami. Actually, the aging of population is the result of improvement in environment, improvement in work environment, improvement in healthcare. That aging of the population is predictable. So this, unlike tsunami, we know and we predict where the population coming from, what time they're coming. So we will not suddenly go apart. So, but of course, it all depends on planning, how we're looking at this. So today I'll be talking on the demographic changes, the need of the aging population, the role of housing estate management, and developing an age-friendly housing estate management and the way forward. And how we can sort of take hold of the whole community action in making sort of aging become part of ourselves, so that it's not rely on simply public funding. How we're able to help the people age within their home environment. And more independent is reducing the burden to the society. So everyone could have a role on it. So very quickly looking at these changes in population, and you can see that the median age rise from 23 in 1961 to 2021 is 46 years old. And in 2021, 19.6% of population is over 65. So what will happen in future? So in 65 and above, the face year of 2021, 20% of them above 65, and by the time of 2046, there will be 34% of population will be over age of 65. That means 1/3 of the people will be over age of 65. So, but 65 is not very old. Our chief executive is 65. If we work for 10 years, we will be 75. So 65 to 75 is the productive year. In Hong Kong, it's going to be productive. We have a productive chief executive. So household is also important. We're looking at the sort of household changes. The household delineation changes with years. From 2011 to 2021, we can see that those singleton household or double household consider more than nearly 50%. And average household size is only 2.7. So this very busy figure, and looking at how older people constitute so the upper part will be older people, only older people household. We're looking at only the 2021, you can see that we have 480,000. Then nearly 500,000 of households with purely older people. And some of them living alone, some of them live another people. But we have another 892,000 households with older people living in. And again, in this, half of them are only one or two living to the older people together. So type of housing, I'm not going to. So summary of the aging challenge, we can see that we grow from 19.6% to 34% by 2046. So it's only 20-something years' time. So we need to make preparation. Among the domestic household, which is 2.6 million in terms of household in Hong Kong in 2021, 18% of them are older people only. And 33% of them have older people living with them. So that means 51% of domestic household with older people. So we are going to look at it. Any household, any apartment building should have at least half of the residential unit having older people there. So very important is that single older people living accommodation, 7%. Two older people, 11%. Of course, we have public housing, 30%, but private residential flat, 45% of them. So we're looking at the lead of an aging society. The WHO has the age-friendly city, where Hong Kong is also part of it. We got 8 domains: community and healthcare, transportation. Housing is an important part of the age-friendly society. And then with social participation, outdoor space, respect and social inclusion, civic participation, employment, communication, information. I think all of you sitting here, most of them are working in developers or housing management. So you can see that at least 4 items are related to your business. So if you have not invested into business related to aging, you need to rethink your portfolio. So what we look at the age-friendly environment is free from physical and social barrier and supported by policies, systems, services, product, and technology that could promote health, build, maintain physical and mental capacity across the life course, enable people, even when experiencing capacity loss, to continue to do the things they value. This is very important. Even they are disabled or living alone, how they can live an independent living. I'm glad the Chinachem group is thinking of how to make under the management with more independent people. So age-friendly practice help older people ability to meet their basic needs. Think of how to help them to meet their basic needs. Learn, grow, and make decisions. Mobile, build and maintain relationship. This is very important. We used to be very good relationship when this is 50 years ago in public housing estate. But now everyone closed the door. So not much relationship. So now it's building relationship. And older people can contribute actively in the society. So age-friendly practice to be recognized a wide range of capacity and resources among older people. Actually, older people can contribute. Sometimes we regret them. When the housing estate is looking at more productivity, how to link up people to help, that is the major resources. They may not need money. They want contribution. Anticipate and respond to the age-related needs and preference, and respect older people's decisions and lifestyle choices. Reduce inequities. We're talking about equity. Aging population is usually not inadequate in terms. Protect those who are most vulnerable. This is very important. Who are most vulnerable, I will come to this later. Promote older people's inclusion and confidence in all areas of community life. So who are the older people at risk in any environment? First, they're socially isolated. That means they're living alone or with just the older couple. So definitely at risk. The lack of income, chronic illnesses, dementia or mental incapacity, mobility problem are all high risk. So in a housing estate, when you come across these older people, they are high risk. So whether you can identify them, help them, predict them, prevent them from illness, so you make a good job. And the chief executive will thank you. Look after the older people in the policy address, okay? So the sad story always repeat. This is from 2018. Well, a backward skeleton appeared in 2018. And many the sad story in 2018. But you see, it was a few months ago in Shuixun Ocean with a skeleton there. So these are all living alone people. So how are we looking at this? So if we are more sensitive to the need of the resident, we may do something very early to prevent this thing happen. So that I mentioned singleton elderly or only a couple of two people, older people living together. This is important. So let's come to this part, the role of housing estate management. So it's important for us to know about housing estate management in many all apartments in Hong Kong. So every single house, apartment would have an attendant. So every day you have an attendant or everyone in and out. They should be know about what happened in the apartment above. So they recognize the need of older people, but we sensitize them to know there's a need of the older resident living in them, and develop plan for social inclusion of older people residing in their housing estate. Of course, we need to train them, let them know what they contribute, what their needs, and of course collaborate with elderly service unit and healthcare service providers is very important because they are part of the referral, so that we can early refer some cases for them. They may be having dementia people. We found that they're wandering and then they may need intervention. And then we help them to treat their illness. And of course, linking of families, older people living in an estate or apartment. Because for many of them are not living with their family. But how to link them up whenever there's some problem risk, and then develop risk management strategy for high-risk older tenants that I mentioned about the 5 group of people, they're high-risk older tenants. When you cannot come across the demented older people come down to go to morning walk, there may be some problem with them. So, but we don't kick on this. Like the public housing management office, 8 months, no one look after them, then become a skeleton, pure skeleton. So that comes to age-friendly housing estate management. So our friends in the Green Building Council have a lot of certification. So we hope that sooner or later we have an age-friendly estate management certification. So it's very important for us to go ahead. So they come to the Hong Kong Association of Gerontology. I'm president in the development of the age-friendly housing estate management work. Our work started in 2018 and will continue until 2024. It is supported by Jockey Cup in terms of a 5-year project in terms of what we have done. Of course, we come to the first phase of the project. We started to recognize the need of housing estate management training program. And of course, second part is from 2021 to 2024, we try to link up what we call Jockey Cup Age-Friendly Housing Estate project. So we're linking up the property management company, elderly owner corporation, and sort of community caregivers, so as to make a friendly community under those property management company that join this project. So we have done different things. We're coming up with different housing estates like private estate, single building, Single building is a challenge because we need to have collaboration, ownership, cooperation, and also public housing estate. So we proceed with consultation work with all the friends of age housing estate, friendly estate, training of property management personnel, and education of community caregivers, and then consultation and also some of the work with older people. And that's the checklist that we have developed. So I'm not able to go into detail on all this, but you can read the PowerPoint from the organizer. And this very complicated diagram showing 18 key elements of age-friendly housing estates and including 50 specific items generated by our study, the macro environment and also micro environment. So we have different areas. The micro system, we are looking in this, how we establish, how to assist the daily activity of elderly people, and also understand the need of the older people, provide such suitable outdoor environment for older people. This all with the housing development plan, and also the system, which is the MISO system, that this is a part of the training of the housing estate management to understand the need of the older people, how to establish setting up platform for networking with age residents, social networking. So, and also provide some independent activity, how to enable them to be living there. And then, of course, this EXO system. So, whether they can go out, SSV, and also updating the modernized system. And then this is macro system will be how we establish the networking with the community and the younger people, and also helping older people to learn. So we also embark on training on age-friendly housing estates to the property management personnel in the past 3 years. So we're able to get many organizations, many companies to join us, and nowadays we have at least more than 25 estate management companies joining us in this project. So we are ongoing education for community caregivers. Like we have some virtual reality games for people know more about age-friendly. So coming to this, that we're looking at development of age-friendly estate management. This is very important. So we're looking at the training content. We need to get people out the characteristics of age-friendly community and its application, how we understand different needs of different age groups. 65 to 75 is different from 75, but of course different from those over 90. So and then care need of older person and the caregiver. So what time that you need to provide support? Well, like in the one we mentioned about solution, is a 67-year-old single-term elderly. They may not like you to visit him frequently because they are very independent, suppose. But you know this, living alone. You know a lot coming up. Then you know what happened. Something that we trigger off. And the risk of older people in the community and contribution of estate management staff in the promotion of age-friendly estate. So the training should consist of 3 parts. Manager is very important. We need to train up the manager, understand the importance of age-friendly infrastructure so that they could implement program. And then we'll be supervisor. It's great that in present day we have an estate management registration system. So this is the very best time now to instill the estate management officers requirement on learning more on how to provide age-friendly facility management. And then it's the frontline estate staff on more day-to-day management. So we pilot training program, review and further revise the training package. And we'll develop the training and update training package, and we allow submitting our training package to the qualification framework accreditation so that it will be a level 3 qualification. So in that case, they enjoy some certification. And of course, develop multimedia resource information platform to enable the estate management staff in caring older persons so that they can click on a certain point and you know what to do. You're not able to let them to memorize anything. But once sort of serious weather, then you need to look at what to do. Casey. So we're looking at, in future, can development of the age-friendly housing estate management certification that develop a standard of age-friendly estate management, validation of preliminary standard by experts in AK and you people here, estate management, pilot testing, evaluation, discussion with stakeholders. And then we finally hope to be able to set up a mechanism of certificate of age-friendly housing estates. So the Hong Kong Association of Gerontology is a professional academic form association dedicated to advancement of aged care in Hong Kong. So we hope our effort could contribute in terms of enabling the community look after themselves, not by the government. We found in 1986, we have an Institute of Gerontology provide training. And also we established the Western Aged Care accreditation scheme accrediting the nursing home. So we have experience in setting accreditation system. So we also promote end-of-life care in the home. So the way forward will be with all our foundation work done since 2018. We're on exploration on development of content of age-friendly housing estate management system. The system is now mature. We're looking forward to more close collaboration with the industry, like the Chinachem group. On estate management, the trade organization, developers, management company, to further work on a real certificate program on age-friendly housing estate management. So we're looking forward for the collaboration with all you here, when we hope able to get funding to put this together after beyond 2004. And my dream is to age-friendly housing estate management certificate program could be fully implemented in Hong Kong in 3 years' time. So it all depends on all of us effort here, how to make this a reality. So if you want to know more about aging, Casey have read my book. So if you not come across my book, you can buy a book. And just have a say, this is volume 1. The volume 2 is coming in December. So those of you who had read the volume 1, you go to the bookstore to buy the volume 2 and a good Christmas gift to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lang. Thank you. Please be seated. I think we have all been inspired by Dr. Lang's presentation. You know, how well thought out facilities management can actually contribute to our aging society. Thank you once again, Dr. Lang. Thank you. And we hope to hear your good news about the program's implementation. Well, the afternoon session, we have heard from different speakers who have brought us some interesting perspectives on the valuable roles of green buildings in creating social impact with partnership, the use of green technologies, and, well thought out facilities management, of course, from the previous speaker. Well, now we're going to move on to panel discussion. This panel is going to discuss on the topic an inclusive transition towards carbon neutrality in the era of global boiling. And now, without further ado, please join me and welcome our moderator for this session. And he is Professor Wong Kam Sing, GBS JP, Chairman Wu Zhiqiao, Bridge to China Charitable Foundation. Professor Wong, welcome. And we would like to also invite the following speakers to join us here on stage, and they are Ms. Kimberly Lewis Inkumsa, please welcome. Architect Donald Choi, Dr. Wei Qing Peng, Mr. Lee Saward, Dr. Edward Lerman Folk. Please welcome our speakers. Thank you. Please take your seats. And now over to you, Professor Wong.
Okay, so we have 30 minutes. Before we have the panel discussion, I understand that we would also include the Q&A section. May I have a feeling about how many people here would like to raise questions so that I can allow time as appropriate. And we would like to be inclusive, okay? So, any of you would like to ask questions? Please raise your hand. Huh? How many? Oh, very good. Okay, 1, 2, okay. Any from this side? Okay. Okay, before I have opened the panel discussion, I have some slides to show. Since the topic is having 2 keywords, one is inclusive, second is the carbon neutral future for Hong Kong. So we'd like to talk about how we can have an inclusive transition towards carbon neutrality in the era of climate global boiling, as coined by the Chief of United Nations, right? In Hong Kong or elsewhere, we are facing more extreme climate events. So we'd like to have a feeling about what's the state of extreme weather events in Hong Kong or elsewhere. And then we talk about how to address it in both new development areas and new buildings, and also old districts and existing buildings. And I prepared some slides to enrich the discussion. This picture shows the heat waves or hot weathers in Hong Kong. This picture shows when Hong Kong became a city around 1840s, over more than 100 years. The years with 35 degrees C or above. In Hong Kong, it's very humid. If it's 35 degrees C above, it could be very uncomfortable or even killing people. In the first 100 years, only 1 year with 35 degrees C or above in Hong Kong. But when Dr. Leung was born, I think in the 60s, am I correct, Dr. Leung? That in Hong Kong, every few years, we got years with 35 degrees C or above. And unfortunately, in the very recent few years, every year, we got 35 degrees C above. And last year, not only a few days, 15 days. And this year, I haven't got the record, but should be not very good. So the trend is worrying. And not only in general, I think this morning we talk about the Northern Metropolis. And I borrowed a research by a university research involving Hong Kong U, China U, etc. They're showing that in Hong Kong, the warming areas is not fair, okay? Some areas would become even hotter. You can see that the redder areas represent those areas with very hot days in a year. In particular, the Northern Metropolis area, that is the upper part. Okay, you can see that over the years, that is going to be hotter with temperature, maximum temperature higher than 33 degrees C, with more days per year. And with the forthcoming Northern Metropolis, that means more urbanization. That area will subject to even more negative impacts. So how should we plan our Northern Metropolis? That I would like to hear more from you guys. So the question is that how we can have an inclusive transition towards carbon neutrality in the era of global boiling. Okay, I stop here. Okay. So firstly, I would like to invite our friends from abroad to share with us how is the situation of extreme weather events in your area. So we start with Beijing. Dr. Wei.
Thank you. Actually, as you know, in the beginning of June this year, Beijing, the outer temperature reached some kind of 38 Celsius. It's some kind of 100 years record, new record. And also in the beginning, just before I came here, the temperature drops to -2.3. It's also, in October, it's recorded the warmest October in the history, and then they will record the coldest November in history. So this kind of extremely weather happens frequently. And also what happens in Zhengzhou for the rainfall. And we all understand that this kind of a climate, I like your word there of climate boiling, and will affect everyone. No one can escape. So we have to work together, as you just mentioned. We do need this kind of a uniting society. So from a technical point of view, there are also some new solutions, like try to use photovoltaic together with buildings and human beings, try to use electricity, zero carbon electricity as short as possible, and also the highest equipment and systems, and also try to use AI to help people to do analysis of data. So there are some new trends, but I think that's enough. That's not enough. It's just the beginning. And as we discuss this today, that to solve the problem, or to meet the challenge of this kind of extremely, whether we should not, just okay, it happens and it happens. We should to have some kind of predictive, solution, and also we do need to work from now. And most of people, 99% of people saying, oh, it's nothing with us. And this year, the citizen in Beijing think, okay, air conditioning is really important, or heat pump is really important, and a photovoltaic is really important, because people do have this kind of feeling of this kind of extremely weather. So we believe in the future, the built environment will not only infect on indoor environment, but also the microclimate, and also try to reduce or try to avoid this kind of extremely weather's damage. And also from this kind of efforts, try to contribute to the global climbing issues.
Okay, thank you, Professor Wei. How about Australia, Dr. Lee, and then Kimberly, the Latin American context?
So Australia's similar to quite a few other countries. We're experiencing extreme weather conditions. We're forecast for a very hot summer, with the conditions all working against us this particular summer, so not looking forward to that. And it was only a few years ago that we had some devastating bushfires across the country, which made news across the world. We also have flooding as well, so we get those extremes. We just need to build climate resilient stock. We have some pretty poor building standards in Australia, and particularly in residential. So we need to make more effort in there to make it more comfortable and also affordable. That's really important. Energy affordability is really key in this, because we can't have people just not turning on their heating or cooling because they can't afford to, with these extremes going on around them, because it then becomes a real health issue as well, which just adds to the impact and the cost. We've got a lot of these emissions baked in. We know even if we all start doing everything right tomorrow, we're still going to be seeing these increases for a little while yet. So we need to do both. We need to minimise our use of resources and make it as efficient as possible, but also adapt our environment and try and work with environment and not against it.
Okay, thank you. Kimberly?
Yes, and I would say we experience the same wildfires in the U.S., and we've experienced that over year in California and in Oregon. But what was extremely poignant in this last year in June were the Canadian wildfires. That in Canada, it started there and spread to 18 states down the U.S. East Coast, affecting 100 million people. When the airports were shut down, when Major League Baseball was shut down in the States, when baseball shuts down, the world stops. but the games weren't able to happen, it really began to shed a light on the challenges around IEQ. And so for us, the Well Building Standard focuses with 10 feature strategies to address IEQ, with Well Air being strategic around performance on indoor air quality. So the power of frameworks matter. And to my friend next door, when we talked about aging, I remember when Hurricane Sandy hit in New York City, and the challenge around our tall building systems. We've been so focused on building and supporting building envelope. Our many advocates were saying this is the beginning of the social intervention, where we had so many seniors on the 70th floor that in that time of Hurricane Sandy, no one could get access to them. They were without water, they were without health supplies, and so the challenge and the cry came forward to the sustainability industry and the environmental industry, human impact.
Thank you, Kimberly. So let's go to the second round of questions. Okay, I think our Hong Kong friends here understand the extreme weather conditions in Hong Kong. In fact, in this year, even though the government, through the Labour Department, has new measures to protect, for instance, the outdoor workers, but at least I heard from the news that at least 2 passed away during the very hot days. So it's a pity. So the second round of questions is about how we could be more inclusive in the era of global boiling. So may I invite people from that side start so that each one can contribute, and Dr. Leung, please.
Thank you. I think for the part of global warming affecting people, we're looking at, like Casey talked about, KS. About what we need to examine the risk. We're talking about aging, our workforce age, because construction industry people, or many of them, probably 50% of them are over 50 years old. So extreme weather affect aged people more, especially over 35, 37. Then. So we need to think about how the built environment have a change. Of course, we have some environmental change, some cooling facility, but we need to think about working time. Whether working time can change from the conventional, so some of them need to start earlier. That means not so hot. And where we going back and examine like Singapore, people will have a rest of 2 hours in the noon time. So when the overall temperature is getting higher, then probably we need to stop having a longer lunch time so that people will working in the less high temperature. So looking at the northern Devon area in future is the hottest zone of Hong Kong. And so we need to plan about how the working environment, how the facility, how can help the aged workforce and able to, and of course, we're talking about inclusive. And some of the aged workforce can work half of the time. They continue to get income and continue to contribute, but in less risk. So it's something that we can think about from a more age-friendly perspective on facilitating this to develop.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Leung. Mr. Lee, and you can also add that about your new building in Australia. I like it. It's very good. It's inclusive and also carbon neutral. How can we have more buildings like that in Australia and elsewhere, like Hong Kong?
Yeah, so I'm sharing the story, so thank you so much. And it's been my pleasure and privilege to be here to share that as a case study. So if there's anything that people can learn from that and just take a little bit and go, okay, well, that's something that we could look to build into our next development. I mentioned in my presentation we have some people who've chosen to come into the retirement living specifically because it is a green building and also attracts staff. They can see that we're trying to do the right thing. And because we're there to serve the most vulnerable, we advocate very strongly to government and other parties to make sure that people aren't getting left behind. Because I can afford to put solar panels on my house, but not everybody can afford to do that, and they're the people that we really need to focus on. So, you just need to, what do you do? Something, and anything you do today or tomorrow is more than what you did yesterday. And I've just been really encouraged from where Hong Kong is at and where you're all focusing. It's just been fantastic. And I can see that you've got similar themes. I took a few photos of slides, and it was resonating with me that you're thinking the same and you're being inclusive, and that's really important because people can understand what the effects are on them.
Thank you. Professor Wei?
Yes, thank you. This afternoon I got a lot of new ideas. The most important thing to me is to solve the problem or to take this challenge of global warming issues. We do not need only good technology or policy or green finance or whatever, but we do need good story. For new building, like you share a very good story. We understand. Okay, we can make it. And for existing buildings, we do need a story and can make people be convinced. So that's also, I think, very important, and I learned from this conference. I think maybe in the future in Hong Kong or Australia, people can understand because story always have a common language, and we can, to show them and how we can make it, and they will believe, okay, we can do it. From your heart, you believe in it. So I think that's the topic, as you mentioned. Yeah.
Dr. Wei, I understand that you have worked with the Hong Kong counterparts on the ritual commissioning, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a good story, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell more about?
Yes, actually, I've been working together with our Hong Kong colleagues for more than 15 years, focused on ritual commissioning, and also actually we work together with our colleagues in the United States and also in Japan, and also of course in mainland China. And what I learned from here is that in Hong Kong you have very specific, I would like to say, advantage that people here are very professional, and the society always think if we are engineering, no matter what age, if we want to do it, we will do it to the best. And so that's what I learned, and I do think this kind of things can be, as a good story, and also in the future, some kind of AI technology can also take part of this kind of work and to benefit more people in the future. So that's what I learned from.
Thank you, Donald.
Thank you.
Well, I think human is smart, so we develop a lot of technology to make our life more comfortable. But in the process, we lost respect for nature. For example, because we can and we do have AC, so our building actually have curtain wall, doesn't matter at what climate. And then we believe that, we can use the natural resources endlessly, which is a sad story because we know that we can't. The earth resources, they are limited. We are actually borrowing from our future generation. In Hong Kong, if you look at some of the older architecture, they are very clever in their use of sun shading. They have natural ventilation. And if you look at some of our recent, architecture or building, we lost all this skill set just because we can use mechanical, AC. So again, I think for us to, really address the climate kind of emergency, we need to go back to the basic. We need to live with nature harmoniously and respect what the earth has given us.
In fact, naturally ventilated domestic buildings could be more affordable for those people that they may not have a lot of money, right? Okay, Kimberly?
I really appreciate what you said. Systems and structures are reflective of values. And I think as an institution, we really need to rethink our process designing for those most marginalized and designing for the extreme will cover everyone in the middle. And so I was thinking about one of our targeted populations, people who are neurodiverse, who may have challenges with their senses. And so having access to biophilia, having access to nature, where the acoustics of space can kind of reflect the natural ambiance of nature, can be calming for those folks that are challenged in the built environment and space. And so when we think about those targeted populations and what their most extreme needs are and how we can design intentionally to support them and learn from nature in that design process, we can build a more inclusive and productive environment for them.
Okay, thank you. Q&A time. So there are two people at least would like to ask questions. So please raise your hands again so that the mic could come to you. So help us, please help us. Okay, mic for Q&A. Okay, all on that side, right? If no other questions, okay, good. Okay, Eugene.
Thank you. I don't know if this is a question more than an observation. When I saw the panel discussion, you guys are all experts in your own field, and I thought KS has a really difficult job of how to kind of, string you guys all together into one topic. Then I saw a sort of pattern. As an architect, we try to talk about sustainability and do something about it many, many years ago, right? And of all the kind of carbon neutrality buildings that we come up with, all the energy saving measures or new technologies, we're hardly making a dent right now with lowering down the carbon in the air. And that's why we had these disaster and catastrophe all happening this year, year before, and probably years to come. So where do we start? How do we end this all, right? And then I guess Dr. Learn, from a facility management perspective, actually kind of reminded me something that happened on Saturday. I went to a transitional housing visit with the Secretary of Housing, Winnie Ho, on Saturday, and she, showed us around. But we also met the CEO of Bok Goi Hospital, who actually runs the facility. But he described it as not just facility management. He is actually taking care of people. So from that perspective, facility management actually went one step further and talked about what Kimberly was talking about. It's well-being. And sustainability in that sense, it's well-being for the world. It's not just about cutting carbon. The world will survive after a human disappear, right? So it's about how we survive within the world as it goes on. And how do we do it? Not by one profession, not by one person, not by just one of you. I think it's done by everyone in this room and probably everyone outside this room. So it's about how to put all these together. And I think what Dr. Learns talk about is how do we, in our upcoming projects, in where we live, in our home, how can we start something like what Bok Goi has done? They start to think about taking care of people in the facility that they manage, more than the building they manage. And if we can unite those thoughts together and build a culture, not just to take care of ourselves, but to take care of the world, then we might have a chance. So I think this is something a question to Donald as the developer, right? In the upcoming projects, will developer start to think beyond green finance, the money part, and start to think about the people, taking care of people, which you have actually touched on in your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's listen to the last question before we respond, okay? The other question? Yep.
好感恩環貿集團，我係喺環貿集團旗下23年啦，住咗。我嫁咗入去，由我生細路仔到依家佢哋已經開始出嚟工作。咁我淨係識講中文，但係今日咧環貿有埋個傳譯啦。咁我知道我可以分享埋我護理屋企人嘅經驗同因為呢個係基本嘅護理經驗嚟嘅。咁但係我覺得我喺護理一個癌症病人嗰陣時，我係需要一啲社區嘅支援嘅嚇。咁我大概3年前我細佬患癌病嗰陣時，其實我都係好感恩我父母俾咗我好足夠嘅愛，令我覺得我需要有責任照顧我呢個細佬。咁所以咧喺19年嗰陣時，因為係疫情㗎。咁我細佬係單身嘅，同埋咧係小兒麻痹症。咁佢係冇辦法可以點樣自己照顧自己。咁變咗我就租咗一個地方，咁就1萬蚊一個月。咁當時嚟講，我覺得如果我要申請護理院，可能又冇咁快嘅，因為佢係癌症啊嘛。如果我唔理佢，就會當時就簽咗一張紙，由得佢由政府去處理啦。咁但係我真係好好，我父母俾咗我足夠嘅愛，令我就接咗佢翻嚟，租咗個地方就照顧咗佢大概5-6個月到，咁佢就可以好安詳咁喺家庭度離開咗咁樣咯。嚇，咁我覺得嗰個愛嘅教育係好重要嘅。我哋喺一個好細嘅家庭裏邊都可以接受呢個愛嘅家庭教育。咁如果一個好嘅模式，我相信都可以啱全世界共用嘅。咁未來我都會參加華貿集團裏邊嘅更多嘅環球嘅訓練，希望可以知道更多嘅知識去學習更多護理嘅知識咯。嚇，好感恩今日有機會可以喺度分享我自己嘅生活經驗。咁因為我不善表達嘅，咁但係其實我都記錄咗好多呢幾年裏邊照顧細佬嘅經驗。咁如果有關方面可以大家分享或者溝通，咁我諗可能會收集咗一啲意見嘅話咧，將會更有用都未定嘅嚇。
好多謝晒你嘅提問。
多謝，點稱呼啊？
我姓陳嘅。
陳小姐你好。
係。
Okay. That's in Cantonese. I think she is an occupant in Donald's properties. So I will invite you to translate what just talk about in English so that the other speakers understand. Okay, briefly. Okay.
I think again, it is about looking after our family members with heart. Again, the situation is none of us could actually forecast or predict. But I think at the end, it's about really serving the others with hearts and also understanding that we are being gifted, with life. And this is a very treasured kind of moment for everyone. And we should extend it out to, beyond our families. And this is what I think, why we have this CGG Hearts. because we do believe that, we as a community, as human, it is part of our responsibility to actually look after other people as well. So again, thanks for the sharing, and obviously, the first speaker or the questioner, Eugene, talked about, we actually are not just building or look after building. We are building a home, a workplace for our community, and we should look after them with better service. And this is what us at Chinachem Group really trying to do, and this is why we have the 3 Ps. So we are not looking at it just as a business, but really is about people and about sustainability, that we can live a better world for our future generation.
Okay, thank you, Don Lo. Time is running out, but I hope I still have one sentence to conclude from each of you, okay, so that we can wrap up our duties here. And I can also contribute, okay? Please read Dr. Leung's book, as instructed by my wife. Dr. Leung.
Hi. Okay. So I'm glad to be here and able to speak to a different audience. I used to be speaking to the healthcare and also social welfare people. The environment is very important for aging community. So we start to be, well, it's only 20 years later, that we prepare our society to well prepare for our own aging. So that benefit for our own self. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Lee?
We're a community service organisation. We're all about people. So it's fantastic to hear that that's really the centre of everything that we're focusing on. I'm really encouraged with the conference, and share.
Professor Ray?
Thank you. I think I like Donna's one sentence you just mentioned, be harmony with the nature. So that could be a solution, a wisdom solution for new building, existing building, or cities. What's the translation of be harmony with the nature? Oh, great. No. Well, we talk about it. In the Chinese word, 天人合一. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hondo again.
Again, I think, we shouldn't leave anybody behind, in our transition to a net zero economy and society. We are part of the community, and we should, move together.
Yeah, Kimberly, the last.
Wow, you're asking a preacher's daughter to have one word, but I just want to say that it is a joy to be able to be a part of transforming buildings, communities, and people. And in this month of gratitude, I would say take courage. We're thinking differently. It's a paradigm shift, and if we center people at the heart of the work that we'll do, we'll see a shift in people first places.
Okay, thank you, Hong Kong Community Council. Thank you, Chinachem, for organizing this event. Let's show our appreciation to the panel of speakers.
Thank you, and thank you, Professor Wong, for moderating the session for us. Would our speakers actually just stand together for a photo? Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, another big round of applause, please, to this panel for such a fruitful discussion and really thought-provoking. A lot of things that we can do together, and especially on the issue of climate change and how we are marching on this journey of sustainability. We definitely need to act now, and there's no time left for us. We can't really wait any longer. All right, one more photo for our panel. And thank you again for all your participation, especially those of you who contributed during the Q&A session. All right, one more photo with the net zero gesture. Okay, thank you. I think we've got it. Thank you very much, everyone. Please proceed off stage and be seated. Thank you so much. Definitely very inspiring, and I've learned a lot from this discussion. Human impact and the things we do are actually making impact. So make them positive ones. Thank you once again to this panel. And now with that, we're going to conclude our program this afternoon. But before that, we would like to invite on stage Dr. Zheng Tin Zheng, SBS Chairman of the Hong Kong Green Building Council, to deliver a closing remarks. Please welcome Dr. Zheng.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Architect Donald Choi, all distinguished speakers, moderators, and participants for your exceptional support, active participation, and valuable contribution to the highly successful Chinachem Group Sustainability Conference 2023. This conference has provided an extraordinary platform for like-minded experts from around the world to unite and pursue a shared goal. I would also like to extend our sincere appreciation to Ms. Benedict Lin, Secretary for Development, for being our guest of honor and for her visionary insights and guidance. Throughout the conference, we have explored the overarching theme of pioneer and inclusive net zero future for Hong Kong and engaged in compelling conversations on global concerns for our planet. Audrey from World GBC has enlightened us on crucial aspects of sustainability, offering invaluable insights into the transformative power of policy. Mr. Wong from the Environment and Ecology Bureau has emphasized that climate change is a global issue requiring urgent action from all corners of the world. We were happy to hear from Ken this morning that Hong Kong EX is committed to creating a low-carbon, climate-resilient global economy by supporting a vibrant, sustainable finance ecosystem. From the global to the city, we have learned about the sustainability planning of Hong Kong's Northern Metropolis and Cultural Artificial Islands from Mr. Michael Fong, Director of Civil Engineering and Development. We have also gained valuable knowledge about the latest technological advancements in safeguarding the well-being of construction workers from Conway of Yale Li. The voices of youth activities, Carly and Jasmine, have resonated with us, highlighting the challenges we face in the realm of climate action. The fruitful conversations extended to the afternoon session to discover how to embrace diversity and building inclusive communities. Our overseas speakers, such as Kimberly of the International Well-Building Institute from Washington and Lee of Uniting Communities from Australia, have broadened our horizons on workplace equity and creating a sustainable and inclusive society. Dr. Wei from Beijing's Tsinghua University has shared new trends and technologies in visual commissioning and visual fitting. Additionally, we were pleased to hear from our host, Donald, about his insights on building partnerships with tenants, customers, and stakeholders to create an inclusive environment in Hong Kong. While Dr. Leung from the Hong Kong Association of Gerontology shed light on the role of facilities management in fostering an age-friendly living environment. The panel discussions, skillfully moderated by Professor Christine Look and Kes Wong, have further deepened our understanding and lead to fruitful conclusions. It's clear that the efforts of building professionals alone are insufficient to tackle the challenges of climate change and pioneer an inclusive net zero community. As a bridge between the government, industry, and the public, the Hong Kong Green Building Council, something wrong with my iPhone. Okay, I do it again, okay. As the bridge between the government, industry, and the public, the Hong Kong Green Building Council, we strive to connect the diverse sectors and calls on green building industry, utility, construction, green finance, and developer leaders to unite with the rest of the community to create and energize the community. Apart from collaboration, a transformative approach to policy and action will be our key to achieving a net zero community and creating an inclusive future for Hong Kong. Lastly, I would like to express our special thanks to Chinachem Group for initiating this conference and for their unwavering commitment to sustainability. We strive a built environment, thereafter it strives us. Hence, we should strive for a sustainable and inclusive built environment. We eagerly anticipate seeing all of you again in the next edition of the Chinachem Group Sustainability Conference. Wishing you all a pleasant evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zheng. Thank you for providing us a very comprehensive wrap-up, and our thanks to all the speakers and our moderators and people who participated today. So ladies and gentlemen, the Chinachem Group Sustainability Conference 2023 has come to an end. On behalf of the organizers, the Chinachem Group, and the Hong Kong Green Building Council, we would like to express our heartfelt thanks again for making the time to join us. Thank you once again, and thank you for supporting us on this net zero journey. Thank you. So before you leave the ballroom, we would like to kindly remind you to recycle your guest badge to the reception counter. If you have been using our SI headsets, please leave them on your chairs and our staff members will collect them for you. Please also scan this QR code for our online survey to provide your valuable feedback for this conference. Once again, thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to see you next year. Goodbye.